Airline CEOs will be answering MPs' questions about baggage fees at a committee meeting later today. And this comes after reports the feds have sold their stake in Air Canada. John Gradick is a lecturer and coordinator of aviation management program out of McGill University and joins us now this morning. Mr. Gradick, thanks for your time. Let's start by talking about this baggage fee hearing at the parliamentary committee today. So what do you think we're going to hear from this, and what will you be watching and listening for?
Well, I think, I think the minister and the committee really want to have the CEOs in front of them, and some will be virtual. I think most will be virtual. I think the only one going to be there is the CEO of WestJet. But I think the question is going to be asked of the CEOs, in terms of this whole process of junk fees and how these junk fees are proliferating in the marketplace, and what the value is to the airline for these junk fees, and just really talking about how are these junk fees impacting Canadian travelers, and why is this being done at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And I know the WestJet CEO talked about this earlier, saying that the company is making efforts to try and make things more affordable, but also saying they're undermined by government policies, third-party fees and taxes. So it sounds like they're saying, well, we're really saddled with a lot of expenses here, too. Do you think the added cost when it comes to the carry-on bag, is it justified?
No, it's not. No. It's really a question. It's really a cash grab by the airlines to basically look at shoring up their bottom line. The CEO of WestJet's being a little disingenuous in terms of his practice. He's complaining about all of these fees that are out there. CATSA fees, AIFs, on security fees, navigation fees, and here he is throwing another fee on top of that, on top of those fees for customers to pay. So I think that we're getting a little fee overload these days. And I think the Minister of Transport's, exasperation with these fees was very apparent last week. And I think with the sale of the Air Canada shares that the government had earlier this week, I think now we have a freer rein for the regulators to kind of step in and basically make some changes.
So circling back to the committee hearing and the questions we'll be watching for, of course, the answers as well later today, do you think it's actually going to result in any changes?
Right now, as we have regulations set in Canada, the only thing the government can do is really moral suasion, and basically try to convince these guys that this is not the right thing to do at this point in time. We are in a severe economic times. People are very, very careful about spending their money, and throwing additional costs associated with just carrying a piece of baggage on board an airplane is a little too much. And I think that the issue is going to be one of trying to figure out. Is there a need for regulation? Is there a need for oversight? And I think that's going to be the big question the government's going to handle following today's meeting.
And I know you just touched on this. So we're learning through sources the federal government sold their pandemic stake in Air Canada. Neither side really commenting on that just yet. But what do you think the message was there? Do you think that will get the airliners' attention, or will this be more symbolic by the feds? What do you think?
Well, I think the feds have been waiting for an opportunity to get out of that deal as quickly as they could. I think that they bought the shares somewhere around $23, and the Air Canada shares were down to 15, I think, earlier this fall. Now they're back up to 25, and I think this is an opportunity for Air Canada to basically reaffirm its distance from the airline. It was tough because as a regulator, you had one hand tied behind your back because you also happen to be a significant shareholder in the company that you're regulating. And to me, and I've been saying this for months now, I said there's a need for that relationship to disappear, for the regulator to really look at all the carriers in Canada at the same basis. You can't have the regulatory agency also be the regulatee in this process in terms of you regulating your own shareholders. So it's a clearer position now.
Well, I know all eyes will be on Parliament Hill later today while we wait to see what the questions and answers are. Mr. Gradick, thanks for your time.